Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the podcast that's as hot as a summer day in Mississippi, or I should say a spring day in Mississippi with no rain. It's Guys of a Certain Age. I was going to say Art Shirley. No, you're Art Shirley. Robbie Koblenz in studio along with
Art Shirley.
And no Jay Reed, because who knows where Jay is.
I think he's at work.
Well, that sucks to be Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bless his heart. You got your headphones on there?
I got them on now, yes.
Boy, you did this whole acrobatic thing.
Yeah.
It was too bad this is not a video podcast. That could have been great.
That's what we need to do next.
Yeah. No, we don't. We need to subjugate people to our looks. So, all right. Well, let's jump into Geeks of the Week real quick. Who wants to go?
I guess I'll go first as a change.
From when?
From, I don't know, with the times I'm not here. So I was watching a YouTube video. You remember Adam Savage from Mythbusters?
Oh, absolutely.
Now he's got Savage Tested YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Well, he was visiting not the set of Mandalorian and Grogu, but talking to Jon Favreau in some kind of building of theirs where they had a bunch of props, including like the mock-up they use for the cockpit of what's the Razor Quest?
The Razor Crest.
Crest, yeah.
Quest.
Razor Quest.
Razor Quest.
Razor Quest. Razor Crest, which is coming back in the movie. He's got a new version of that that's coming back. So that I always love that vehicle, so I'm glad that's coming back.
Yeah.
But Favreau was talking about the making of the movie, and I've also seen several new trailers now, which now we kind of talked about it before, and we were kind of in the middle about seeing it, but I'm much more excited about it now. I'm looking forward to it now.
So apparently the first trailer was basically harvested from the first 17, 18 minutes.
Yeah. And what I've seen now has a lot of stuff that to me feels more like the first season of The Mandalorian. So I think it's going to be pretty good. But the thing I really liked about it is Favreau's talking, and he is such the right person to be where he is in Star Wars universe. I know Dave Filoni is also, a good person to have at the reins of what's happening. But Favreau was talking about what they're doing with this movie, and one of the he said with the movie, what we can do is we can take a lot more time for production, for single things. So they're working with Phil Tippett, and Phil Tippett is the guy that did the stop motion work for the original Star Wars trilogy and throughout, the thing. But of course, as technology progressed, stop motion became more and more of a thing that went by the wayside.
Sure.
But the chess piece, thing is one of the most famous things that Phil Tippett did. So one thing that they're doing is they've got walkers, and I think you mentioned this maybe last time we talked about
the little mini walker that you can jump on and ride.
Yeah. But so they're having Phil Tippett animate a whole section of something, and
that's cool.
So it's really cool. So that, I wasn't even sure if he was still around.
Yeah. But
they were talking about him and a movie that he came out with that's been 30 years in the making called Mad God, which I have not seen, and it's a completely stop motion. So I'm going to check that out and look at that. But it really got me fired up to see the movie, so I was glad to see that.
It's you talking about Jon Favreau being the perfect guy. I just think back, first time I saw Jon Favreau, he was Rudy's best friend in Rudy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And how far he's come.
Yeah, I know.
And great actor. I went to NAB a little bit on that later, and I stayed at the Park MGM. And in the Park MGM lobby, well, they've got, you've got restaurants in all the Vegas casinos. One of them is Roy Choi's best friend restaurant. Roy Choi is the character that Roy Choi and Favreau are buddies, as I understand. When Favreau did the Chef show, the Chef movie, Roy Choi is who he consulted with, and Choi taught him how to operate a food truck.
Wow, that's cool.
So, Roy Choi has got his Vegas restaurant best friend there in the lobby. Off next to Starbucks at the other end of the hotel is a mock-up of the Chef truck, the food truck from the movie Chef, serving things from the movie Chef.
Oh, that's really cool.
It really is cool. It's way cool. So, but I just think, the arc of Jon Favreau from funny things, comedy. Then when he comes in as Happy Hogan,
yes,
and then just explodes from there. It's just kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So, but I'm encouraged that you're more.
Yeah, that's the
interested
thing.
in.
That was, like I said, a compilation. It was about 6 or 7 minutes worth of the trailers, and it was basically just a compilation of the trailers that had come out. And it started with this most recent one, which shows a lot of stuff, again, that felt more like season 1, ends with the first one that came out. So it was like most recent to first. And we all kind of felt like, oh, this doesn't have the right feeling to it. This, what I've seen now, felt a whole lot more like Star Wars.
Good.
So I'm excited about it. And I can't remember when it comes out.
Mid-May.
Mid-May. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're almost there.
We're almost there. It's hard to believe. Are you watching Maul, Dark Lord, Sith Lord?
No, I started to watch that, and I probably need to pick that up. Do you have to watch again? I know I keep saying I'm going to go back and watch Clone Wars and stuff, but can you just pick it up where it is?
I think did you watch Clone Wars?
I've watched a lot of Clone Wars, but I haven't watched it all the way through.
Yeah.
That's probably what I need to do in my retirement, is make that a project to watch.
Yeah, when you get that type of time. Clone Wars and Rebels, that's kind of where it's going to fit in. But the fact that what happened to Darth Maul, and he came back with robotic legs. And
right.
I've never really understood how
that works. Yeah. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I think his middle name is Patrick Ewing. So someone just woke up and there he was.
Yeah.
So, but Sam Witwer, I think I pronounced his last name.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, is voicing him. And some of the things, one of the things I read about the action sequences is they're animated, obviously, but they're mocapped.
Oh,
so they
really?
had people
awesome
performing the stunts, captured the mocap and applied that to the animation.
That's very cool.
Puppets. So or sprites, I guess they would be.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that could be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually, gosh, what am I watching? For All Mankind? I haven't seen what's dropped.
Like I said, we've kind of been in the pit.
Yeah.
So I think we're about a third of the way through the second season. So maybe once that's done, or maybe what we'll do is sometimes the pit can be a little overwhelming and you need something to watch instead of that. So I may suggest that as our follow-up.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the pit's not the pit, but All Mankind is a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's
a different kind of overwhelming.
It is, and it's quite good. Speaking of watching stuff, let's see if I can find. This was going to be a geek, but I've got some other stuff. Yeah, so one of our favorite shows, mine and yours of all time, is coming back to streaming, Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, along with Caprica, and I think the movie The Plan is heading to Paramount Plus.
Okay, good.
On May 1. So, and Pluto TV is going to have a dedicated BSG channel.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Pluto's going through some changes. I saw Paramount, now that they own it, they're trying to update the look of it and the feel. I hope they don't turn it into a paid service.
I love Pluto.
Me too. I love Pluto.
It's the closest thing to old fashioned TV out there.
It is. It really is.
And it's a lot of fun. Just need to go to it and click and go, and
the interface is a little cumbersome sometimes, but it's
no pausing.
You can't go back. Yeah, that's right. It's just like whatever's rolling's rolling.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, but BSG's coming back, so that was going to be a pseudo geek.
Okay,
and there was talk of a remake a few years ago that got completely killed. So I'm just kind of curious what's going to happen with that property. But since Paramount, apparently there's no new Star Trek ever again.
Yeah.
They need something to add in.
Yeah.
Paramount should go after Doctor Who. I've said that before.
Yeah.
So, did you see they're tearing down all the Starfleet Academy sets, every Star Trek set out there?
No, I knew that. Like you
demoing.
said, they had said this was the end of Star Trek. Although a lot of people say that's been said before.
Yeah,
and so maybe the idea that it kind of sits for a few years and somebody else picks it back up.
Yeah,
and But it's hard to believe because those sets have got to be. I know a lot of it's got to be some kind of CGI matte stuff, but those sets are still pretty elaborate.
Well, the Enterprise bridge set, which there was talk that there would be a Star Trek Year One, and that appears to be dead.
Not happening.
So, but we're going to come into an era where there is no new Doctor Who and no new Star Trek.
Yeah.
and that's been a long time because those have checkerboarded back and forth.
Yeah, I really have.
You know, that interim from 89 to 05 when Doctor Who just had nothing going on, you had a ton of Star Trek. And when Star Trek kind of went
when the original series run ended, and then you had 20 years. You had the movies that started about 10 years afterwards, so you had that. But in the meantime, you had Doctor Who going at that point, right?
Yeah,
so,
That's the
original.
The interim was when the classic Doctor Who ended up in syndication on a lot of PBS stations. So, that would.
I think that's when a lot of people discovered it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be interesting to map that out.
It sure would be. Yeah, because. People try to pit one thing against each other, Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, against all this stuff. But the truth of the matter is most, science fiction people embrace all of it.
Yeah.
These put upon, rivalries don't always exist. I mean, they do to a degree. I mean, we may have a preference.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we'll still, if that's the only thing that's on, we'll find it.
So, this should be a show at some other point, I guess, but are those the three biggest science fiction fandoms? Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who.
Yeah, and
running.
I think everything else falls into an other category. You know, you may like Stargate, you may like Lost in Space, you may like this kind of stuff, but in Space 1999. Yeah. But I don't think there's any single fandom. And again, we could get into Lord of the Rings, but we're talking about science fiction fantasy.
But I'm also saying long running.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Star Trek premiered in 1967.
60. I was thinking it was 65.
Well, you would know much more.
Maybe, No, 67 is probably right. I think because it was,
or maybe 66.
Yeah. Well, but you had Batman, so I think Lost in Space was 66, and wait a minute, we're doing the 60th anniversary. It's 66.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's right.
There you go. Boom, boom. So you've got Doctor Who in 63. You've got Star Trek in 66. You got Star Wars in 77.
Yeah.
I mean, we're almost at 50 years of Star Wars. We're at 60 plus of Doctor Who.
I can't think of anything that's come close to that
in that genre. There's just nothing else there. So interesting.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to checkerboard and like the longevity of, and this popped in, and because they've, the other thing, they've all had droughts, right?
Oh yeah.
Doctor Who had a 15-year hiatus, Star Trek after the original series, and then it came back with a bang. And then same thing with Star Wars after the three originals. That's a show for another time.
Yeah.
All right. I just got back from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jon Favreau and his food truck, National Association of Broadcasters, also now known as Snooze Fest 26.
Oh, no, really?
So I had limited time there because I had to shoot on the other end and had to get to Nashville. And I'm just going to tell you, going through DFW, airplanes are cursed.
Oh, no. Do you get a delay?
Yeah, I got a delay, got an airplane knocked out of service, got another, then the plane I ended up on, the next flight I ended up on, there was a medical emergency in the previous flight, so it delayed it, and it was so much fun. So, but anyway, neither here nor there nor yonder, NAB said they had 58,000 people registered to attend. There weren't 40,000 people.
Really?
And the 2018 NAB, which is kind of the hallmark, was like 118,000.
Gosh, dog.
It is such a pale shadow of itself.
What is causing that? Because people can just find this stuff online, or it's just hard to travel? COVID kind of messed it up.
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it's a little bit. I think, if you remember back when you were really in the business, product cycles were set. You were going to launch that Monday of NAB. NAB started Monday. So new cameras, new editing equipment, new software. Final Cut Pro was premiered at NAB multiple times. Avid Media Composer. As we got to COVID and stuff starting to be released on the internet more and more, like for instance, Blackmagic Design, a big exhibitor in NAB, Australian based, they will do their NAB update video now, release it a week before. So instead of having their Monday morning press conference, which is what we used to go to, they would release everything a week before, you can see the stuff in the booth, but there's no impetus to get there and get your hands on. And there's so many websites covering that you can get pretty much all the news that you want to get.
Yeah, without having to pay for the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, Vegas has continued to get much more expensive. Several of the restaurants have gone to dynamic pricing. So
really,
well,
wow.
Basically, if you've got a convention in town, they're going to jack prices up. Ride shares are more expensive.
Okay,
and then we had the double whammy. Now, and this would have never happened 5 years ago, 6 years ago. WrestleMania was being held in Las Vegas the same weekend as NAB. Think about that.
Yeah.
So they were at Allegiant Stadium. So you had the Golden Knights, the hockey team, they had a playoff game, which you can't really, that is what it is. But you had Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play, WrestleMania. So you had, 70,000 wrestling fans in. Then you had NAB. I don't think Vegas could have handled WrestleMania in 2018 NAB, and NAB is almost an afterthought at this point.
So, okay, that's bad.
Well,
again, did you see anything there where you were like?
No.
I saw Rode has introduced a new wireless microphone system. I saw that on the YouTube video.
Yeah, I'm looking. Rode did not have a booth there.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So Rode bought a company called Electric Sonics a year or so ago, or in the last year, and they're using Electric Sonics is the highest end wireless.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Yeah, just high end stuff, great stuff, reliable. They've taken electro technology and put it in a much cheaper Pro, and so there's this patent out there that is the bane of us in the production industry's existence. The ability to have a lavalier microphone going into a belt pack transmitter and recording at the transmitter
as well as transmitting the signal. Yeah.
Is prohibited due to patent law. There's a company called Zaxcom that holds the patent in the U.S. for simultaneous wire
recording.
Wire recording, local recording while transmitting wirelessly.
Wow.
And so Rode, being a giant, because they're gigantic, an Australian, has said, basically, we don't care.
Yeah.
Your patent's about to expire anyway, or it may have expired.
Yeah.
They're kind of in nebulous territory. So this new system you're talking about they're just doing a one world model, because everybody else, they have to have a software kill in the U.S. to prohibit the transmission.
Okay.
So this mic system,
I figure they'll fight it in court, probably have more money if it comes to that, and it probably won't come to that.
No,
right?
I doubt it will come to that. So several other manufacturers are looking to do some things. Ceramonic, I talked to them. They've got a system that they're trying to do the same sort of thing. But anyway, everybody makes a cheap prime lens that looks great.
Yeah.
Everybody makes an LED light that looks amazing. Everybody makes a cheap on-camera monitor that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then everybody's rushing to include AI in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So
that is true about the lights and the monitors. I mean, you go on now, go on Amazon, you're looking for something like that, and you find 6 different manufacturers, and you pick your price point, and they're all about the same. It's usually bells and whistles, as opposed to quality of monitor.
It's crazy, Art. It's crazy, and Panasonic's booth was about the size of our studio, and basically all they had were PTZ cameras. I mean, if you think about the legacy of Panasonic. I will tell you.
So 7,000 square feet, if you're talking about our recording studio here. The guys of a certain age.
Yeah, we're palatial. I will tell you, and I need to look this guy up. I only had a day to go through the show floor, and I was able to do it and finish with a couple hours.
Wow, that is crazy, because like I said, I've only been twice. And it takes you it used to take you 3 days.
I got through.
And that's if that's stopping in a booth and looking. It's not just a dead run through every booth, but still.
I stopped at a few places, and I would have gone back on a day 2 to get a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
But, I will tell you, there's this guy from Romania. So sometimes EU companies EU countries rather will rent a booth and bring their best and brightest to demonstrate. And so I forget the name of the company. Let's see if I can look it up. It was pretty. I took a picture of the guy's badge. What they did is, and you would have loved this, these guys came in and they, here it is. Well, it's Real Creativity Pavilion. Let me see if I can get the name of the company. It's like Nerenkos, Nerenens. So there's no C in there. It just looks like it. And I'll show you a picture. So they'll take a reel-to-reel or a cassette player, and they will come in and they will go in and they have a separate preamp that you can hardwire in right after the head assembly. Basically, you still have the heads on the reel-to-reel or the cassette player taking the signal off, but you plug their preamp in.
Okay.
And you listen through their preamp or record from their preamp. Unbelievable.
Really?
The reel-to-reel sounded like a high-end digital master, but with warmth, right? Because it was analog. The cassette sounded great.
And this is a hardware piece. This is not a software solution.
It's like $2,500, and you have the box to the side, and you have a cable, and you have to drill in the back of the machine.
Yeah, so it's like you said, it's actually hardwired into the thing.
Yeah, and you're going in and you're pulling up a ribbon cable and replacing a ribbon cable.
Okay.
And
wow, that is something else.
Yeah. So
but what kind of demand is there for that?
Well, there is in the high-end audiophile circles, there is a company that does this exact same modifications, and people are paying, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. So we're talking $500,000 stereo systems, right? To get the most pristine sound, and so you want a cassette or a record, because they have a preamp for turntables as well, or if you've got a reel-to-reel, you want it to be AAA. So you want it to be recorded analog. You want it to be mixed analog. You want it to be mastered analog.
Okay.
You want a full analog signal chain like it used to be. So there's no digital compression at any point within the recording process. So because if you remember when CDs first came out, you would have the AAA, AAD, ADD, then everything's been
digital since then.
Yeah. And so you're looking for an AAA signal path for this stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And it sounded great.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. So
you buying one?
No. I thought in your retirement.
If they had one for 8-track, I'd be all over it.
You never know.
They take the song change click out.
Yeah. Well, that's software.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway.
That's right.
All right. We went a little long. Imagine that. We talked a lot. We're going to take a break and come back and talk Project Hell something.
Not Hell Steak.
And we're back, and we're going to talk Project Hail Mary.
Hail Mary.
Yeah.
But I do think now that the joke I made,
Project Hail State.
Maybe you should do a parody film called Project Hail State.
I'm surprised they haven't picked up on that.
I'm surprised they haven't either.
So Project Hail Mary.
You've got your own Rocky you could pull out.
There you go.
Still around.
There you go. So I'm going to look up some specs on the movie. So, movie based upon the Peter Weir book. Andy Weir, that's what I said. Peter Weir was the lead singer of Jay Kyle's band.
That's exactly.
Rocky
was a centerfold.
Man.
Jay would be passed out on that one.
My Rocky was a centerfold.
Of course, he hasn't seen the movie.
No, he hasn't, but I think he would probably get that. Yeah. So, we both read the book. We've both seen the movie. So, number one, how did you like the movie?
Really liked the movie a lot. I mean, and it's been 5 years since I read the book. I read it when it came out, and so I didn't have, as exact a memory as you did of what happened in the book. But everything felt like it was faithful to the book. But the sense of humor about it and everything was. I mean, Becky and I just enjoyed it. We really, the whole time we were watching it, we were laughing at jokes, and And granted, it's got a 2.5 hour runtime or whatever. It did not feel too long to me.
Yeah,
I felt like it. The pacing of it was really good. So I thought the look of everything was good. They were, like I said, they just did a great job as far as I was concerned.
So one of the things with Andy Weir's books is he is is he a programmer, engineer?
Something like that. Engineer. That sounds.
I think
sounds
he's
right.
an engineer, and so his books are incredibly technical.
Yes.
And he goes and he wants to make sure that they're technically correct.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of backstory that gets you to. So the whole premise, spoilers obviously, is there's this organism called astrophage that is basically feeding on the sun,
eating the sun up,
and causing it to dim. And so scientists on Earth are looking around and they're noticing dimming, and the only place that's not being dimmed is Ceti Tall Alpha.
Yes,
Ceti.
that's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they put together a mission to send 3 people to find out what's going on
and what's going to be a one-way trip.
And Ryan Gosling's character ends up
Dr. Grace
being co-opted.
He's one of the ones that discovered some stuff early about astrophage. So they bring him into the think tank, the worldwide think tank situation they're doing, trying to solve the problem. There's some great scenes of him figuring things out.
Yeah.
Like I said, Andy Weir says he calls it sciencing the beep out of things.
Yeah.
And that's I've always enjoyed about his books, is that it's such a great problem solving kind of thing. And, and the way he figures things out. But he's not, Dr. Grace, Ryan Gosling's character, is not supposed to be the one that goes.
Yeah. There's some tragic issues that happen, forces him, they make him, they give him a drug to forget because he was a reluctant traveler, and so he wakes up.
And so the backstory is told basically through his memories. Yeah. And it's taken him a while to get all his memories together, and he doesn't realize that he was not a willing participant until like middle of the movie.
And they do a great job with the parallel storytelling. It mimics the book, and then
and it works. We talked about this off mic that sometimes we're not fans of that. Sometimes it can be, and especially it has become something that's done a lot and doesn't always serve the story. I think it did in this case.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he gets there, discovers there's somebody else there, from
Iridius?
Something like that. Completely different life form. There's just one survivor of that ship. They become friends. They learn how to communicate, and it becomes a buddy movie in space.
Yeah,
as these two creatures figure out how to save their worlds,
and they do a great job, of making Rocky, this alien character who's basically an animated puppet. I think they did as much as they could.
He's like the Thing's smaller second cousin.
Yeah, he's actually like a combination of two things: the Fantastic Four thing and the Addams Family thing, because he moves a little bit like.
Great point.
Well, when you said that, I went, "Oh, okay, that's what we've got there."
That's a great point.
Yeah. So but that's who he is, a completely alien, but. They do such a great job of giving him a personality.
Yeah.
I know I read some things that said, because there's a language barrier, obviously. I mean, not just in terms of language, but in concepts. But they do a great job of showing us that and then finding a way around that so it doesn't become a hindrance to the story. So they can communicate rather quickly, and we're taking for granted how they're doing it. So I think that worked out real well.
In the book, that's a little bit longer. And the astrophage discussion and discovery takes a little bit longer.
Right. It's one of those things where, to me, the movie is as good an adaptation of the book as possible, but you still ought to read the book.
Yeah. How'd you like Ryan Gosling as Dr.
I liked
Grace?
him. With all the suspension of disbelief that we had to do, the idea that Ryan Gosling was a guy that had no friends that he was leaving behind was very hard to believe.
Well, he's just Ken, right?
Yeah, he's just Ken. He's just Knuff. He's
Ken
Knuff.
Yeah.
But I thought he was good. I mean, he had been attached to the project since even before the book came out, I think, right? I mean, didn't they option the movie?
I think they maybe got some galley.
Because Andy Weir, we didn't mention, also wrote The Martian, which was made into a very successful movie with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Again, another movie. He's got Artemis, which is his second book, which is also being produced as into a movie now. But, and we've talked about this before, not my favorite of the three. Just to me, it didn't quite hold up to the other two, but this one does.
So Project Hail Mary versus Martian, what do you like? Which book do you like better? Which movie do you like better?
At the time, I really liked The Martian a lot. I mean, I thought it was really good. I think I'm leaning towards Project Hail Mary now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it may be that the one movie or the other, but again, we're talking, just very close.
Yeah.
And probably if I went back,
do you love the most?
Yeah, right. If I went back and watched The Martian, which I haven't done.
Drew.
Yeah. Which I haven't gone back and watched The Martian since having seen Project Hail Mary. And I may like that one better too.
Yeah.
What I really like is just this problem solving aspect of the books. Now, one thing, and this is kind of the same thing people found with Tom Clancy novels. The tech gets so much and the details are so much, people just got put off for it. They want the story. But if you enjoy the tech part of it, which I did with Tom Clancy as well, then, you'll enjoy the books. And the movie kind of cuts a lot of that out, both in Tom Clancy's and this movie. But
Gloss is over.
But still had enough of it in there, I think, to satisfy most folks.
So again, spoilers at the end, they find out what's going on. They're able to get a solution. They part. It's a kind of a tearjerker. And Ryland Grace discovers that they had a fault in the solution, and Rocky was going to die. Mm-hmm. And so he basically sends 4 probes back to Earth with the solution. And
Ringo, George, Paul, and John.
Yeah. And he heads to save his buddy, Rocky, which he does, which is pretty amazing. And then he ends up going home with Rocky.
Yeah. And that's true to the ending of the book, too, right?
It is. It is.
The book ends with him still on planet.
So it ends with a much older Ryland Grace teaching kids. And
that's true. They didn't age Ryan Gosling very much at all.
So the epilogue in the book has an older Dr. Grace teaching young kids because their technological evolution, they didn't understand radiation. There were so much things they didn't understand that we did, and vice versa. And so Rocky comes to, Grace and said, "Hey, we finally noticed that your son is getting brighter. So you saved your world. Congratulations."
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So he knows he's been successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this trip is always going to be one way anyway.
Yeah. So, but a lot of
now
fun.
I have heard that they're talking about making a sequel
How
to
can
this.
you make a sequel?
I do not want them to make it. To me, it's like making a sequel to E.T. Yeah, there's ways you can do it, but you're always going to diminish the original product.
But there's a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind about to drop.
Are you serious?
Yes. It's Spielberg's latest movie. It's called The Departure or something like that.
I have not heard that.
And it's been wrapped up, but it's a revisit of Spielberg and extraterrestrials. And the thought is,
okay,
it's the ones coming back from Close Encounters.
Okay.
So, sorry. Anyway.
Richard Dreyfuss needs a job, so I guess so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a pretty perfect movie. It's a great runtime, great for families.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Adapted the book incredibly well. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of fun, and really something we needed in the theater.
I think so too. To me, the combination of that and the Artemis mission really has done a lot, I think, to reignite people's interest in space and exploration. So that's good.
Let's see how much it has made. Almost $600 million globally.
Yeah, its theater run got extended because it was doing so well. They postponed the streaming aspect, so Jay probably won't see it until,
Yeah, maybe he's going to dream about it.
Yeah.
So it had strong performances in China and UK and Australia as well.
Cool.
And so I would love to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, me too.
So apparently in an IMAX is great, but it's about to pass the original final global total of Iron Man.
Wow. Okay.
Put that in context. So anyway, a lot of fun. Highly recommended, correct?
Yes.
So you need to go back.
Two thumbs down.
2 thumbs down. You need to go rewatch The Martian.
Yeah, I think I will do that.
That's such an all-star cast. That's like
And
all the
you
Avengers.
Forget who's all in it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's like all the Marvel people and Matt Damon.
Yeah, I need to watch that again.
Yeah.
I probably, like I said, probably have a bit better appreciation for it again because there's so much I've forgotten.
Yeah. Plus, it's a Ridley Scott movie.
That's right. I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Ridley
Who made this movie?
Chris Lord and Lord and Miller. I can never remember.
That's right. But that's Lord Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Their big hit was the Lego movie.
Yeah. That's so wild.
But it's great.
Yeah, it is great.
Yeah. They're really good. All right. That's going to do us for this week. We'll see you next time around.